Hello everyone, this is Don back with the next progress report on my war Corsair. Not much progress to report. Yesterday I pretty much finished up the cowling and started finishing up the wing, and today all it's done all day is rain. So I looked at my phone this morning to see what the temps and humidity was, and it was like 98% humidity outside and it was like 96, 97 inside. So any kind of epoxy work today or paint work, you can forget about that. High humidity is the absolute worst thing you can do for painting and any kind of epoxy work. Unless you have a climate controlled paint booth like a body shop or something, you're not going to paint on a day like today. Epoxy won't even set up in this stuff. It has to kind of cool down, or humidity has to drop down before that stuff will even cure, because I've seen it happen before working on the plane. So the only other option was to dig out the torpedo heater over there under the thing and blast the room till it's about 90 degrees in here. But I figured, well, I got other little things I can tinker with. So today I went ahead and I went to the hardware store and I bought some some nuts. These things, if you're familiar with these, little 3-prong nuts that are meant to go in a hood. They're usually for woodworking projects. And what I did, let me lay this down if I can. In the cowling, where the screws got to come up through those holes right there, I inserted those nuts. You can see one hiding down in there, one down in there. I bought 11 of them, but I don't need one here. The center one will just be a bolt or a countersink screw. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here. And then I got 6 of them, I think, on this, 3 on each side. So, and then I went ahead and reinstalled all the hinges. I was going to leave them off so I could prime it all up first and then put it down so it has primer underneath those, but it's like, it's not that important. So, and then on this one I put the pop rivets back in around here that I took out, because remember I sanding that down with some really heavy grit paper. It really cut off the heads of those. So now this is the final product of the repairs on the wingtip. Turned out very good. Sorry, I might have missed some of that, but was it warbles on a lot. A fellow down in Australia asked me about if I needed to add any ballast to that wing to accommodate the repair on this tip. Now, if you ever worked in fiberglass, a couple guys that are really into repair work told me, says, if you do a repair on anything fiberglass, it should not weigh any more than it did before you started the repair. That's why you can barely see any slurry left in this thing, because you pretty much want to sand it down until you start hitting glass, and then you're at the final point. So I worked and worked and worked until pretty much it's all out. So that's nice and clean there. And I took and removed the aileron and flap because I've decided that I'm going to fold this thing over real quick. I'm going to reshoot the whole top of the wing. So I've got it all sanded out. Come on, focus. I got my Sony camera out. Again, this one doesn't have a very wide angle to it. Damn it. But what I did is I did all the sanding here, blended in all the paint, and then I decided, because I did have some blems here and there from the sun affecting, wanting to blister up and swell up the paint here and there. So I went through and sanded the whole wing down, because this is fiberglass with epoxy, with microbloons for a slurry, and then epoxy primer, and then epoxy paint. It gets fairly thick on it, so most of these things where the little imperfections were sticking through, once I hit it with the DA sander, it pretty much leveled them all out. So this was basically where there's a strip of foam in there on top of the spar It's like the fiberglass lifts up and it leaves these little lines in the finish, because when this plane was first built, it was glass smooth like this. But this had a seam in it right down through here where the plywood is. It had a seam right down through here where the spar is. And all that comes out from heat. I had set this out in the yard yesterday because this still was kind of soft and you could stick your fingernail in that thick slurry mix, that microbones, that it wasn't cured yet. So I threw it out in the yard, just set it out there in the sun. And I went out there and touched this thing, and you couldn't put your hand on it. It was so hot. But it definitely finished curing it up to where I could finally sand it out. So again, these were all like little high spots. There's another blister that had started. Some of these I had backfilled with epoxy, put a hole in it and squirted some epoxy in there to fill them, but there's stuff. So there's a little phlegm right there I need to lightly fill, probably with some spot putty, but it's ready to paint after it's cleaned, of course. So that's where I'm at. But that's now that wing's going to look better than the other wing. This wing actually has something I had dinged on the star right here, a little ding mark that I can't really get out. This morning I ordered some white, insignia white. That's the same color as the belly, so at least I hope it is, because they don't have any underside white listed for paint. And then when I went back and looked through my original order of all this color, all I ordered was insignia white. So sorry about that, but all this sanding and stuff. I don't wear a mask, so if anybody's wondering, masks are for pussies. So I'm all done there. I really wanted to get the primer out today, wash all this stuff down and get some gray on there, but there's no point in trying to do it today. So it's not going to get primed up till this weekend. Today, ever since I got up this morning, that's all it's been doing is raining, just pouring down raining. It's been fairly light recently, but I think it's nice enough right now I can get the dog his evening walk. So I think that's all I did, is I got those nuts inserted into there. I had to go in there and grind out some material to get them in there, and then kind of cut a little path to get them slipped in there to pull down through, and then I used a screw and some washers to pull them in. So now they're ready. Those ones are what's going to be attached to the aluminum plate here. So those screws are going to come up through this side and bolt into those nuts, and these ones will stay in. They'll get Loctited. So when I go to pull the cowling off, these are the ones I'm going to be pulling off. Now I may or may not keep these. A little ratchet wrench with a nut on there would be better. Someone mentioned a little ratchet type screwdriver, which I did have one. It had a Phillips bit sticking out one side and a flat bit on the other side, and I ground off the flat bit because I just needed a real shallow thing for this, because the flaps are going to be up like this. So I was talking about putting a hole down through the cowling to get in here with a screwdriver, but I thought I had that, and I looked for it, and I think I might have broke it. The tip might have broken, and they weren't replaceable, so I threw it away. It was a little ratchet one you could turn back and forth. So, but these are the ones you got to pull out. So what I got to do now is attach this piece. I still need to cut these out. You can see how I marked them, how I want to cut them out, and how I trimmed this one off and that off. So they're all in there. This one doesn't have the holes in it here yet, so I need to put the cowling together, put it on here, mount this, put this on, and then go in and position this and try to find some locations to go through the back and mark it, and then maybe start one end or the other, and then I can work from there. But it's not going to be easy. I'll probably have to drop the exhaust to get in there to try and locate these holes. So those are going to be the tough ones to get to and to make it all line up. So that's going to be the hard part. And then of course everything's covered in dust. Someone mentioned cleaning the garage before painting. He's like, nah, it's going to get painted as is. Now this here, I'll stand that wing right up in, and then I'll just blast it standing on, and I'll put that on just like that, and I'll prop somehow, hold it so it won't knock over, because I really want to just paint this, shooting the paint this way to keep most of the, just for the gray. None of this really needs to be touched up. I can zap these bald spots here that touched fiberglass, a couple little spots, but it's trivial. It's not gonna make any difference. You can't feel them; they're smooth. Usually, if you take a DA and just stare and work on it, you'll grind a divot. But this was just sanded and sanded and sanded with a 150 grit on the DA to knock it down, and it's super clean. This feels good. So I'll get the primer on here, see what it looks like. It may take a couple primes to make sure it's filling everything. I think there's a tiny little divot still right there. A little bit of spot putty will cover that up, but I should have the white paint by this weekend. It's lighting in here. It's hard for this thing to focus, but I should have the white in. The white's only needed for the bottom center of the cowl, this section here, just basically from that point where you can see the light blue around to this side. That's white. I'll paint wider than I need, and then the light blue will be on the bottom of this. I'm not going to paint the whole bottom side like I will this top side. I'm just going to basically shoot that out there. It should match, because this is I think this is the only time I ever bought this light blue, so it's all original. But I'll shoot that first, because I want that to come up around here some. And then when I do the dark blue, reshoot this whole thing, it'll go under and then fog in underneath. So I don't want the light blue fogging up over the top. I want the dark blue fogging under the bottom. So I'll paint the light blue first, which will be the second one to do anyway. I'll do the white, then the light blue, and then the final dark blue. I think that's all I need to paint. I'll come up here. Actually, I still need to sand this out, but you can see here where the paint's been kind of chipping from working all the time. So I can dang it. The flaps looks fine. This one's got a kind of a blister in it too, this big one, I believe. Yeah, there it is. You can see it. See that? So I'll try and do that too. I can always paint that later. I have a small touch-up gun, so I can mix up just a little bit of that. I've got plenty of the dark blue. I've had to buy another quart of that before anyway. So alright, I guess that's going to do her. I don't think there's anything else to report on. Last time I looked at Joe's page, he was up to like 500 subscribers, so good for you, Joe. Appreciate that, and good luck. Keep the videos coming as always. Same thing with Matt from Downrange Warbirds. Haven't seen any videos out of you lately, Matt. You gotta step up the game here and get some videos out for these people to follow. Matt's building the P40 Warhawk war version like this, so I don't think that's all I could do today. I'm lucky I even came out and did this today. I was feeling absolutely lazy with this rain. It just kind of brings you down. I got one lone mama turkey walking around out here with one sibling left. I can't believe they have turkeys this late in the season. And she had 4 or 5 of them, and now she's down to just one last one. So coyotes and cats and dogs, whatever, have probably gotten hold of the others. I just seen her today, not an hour ago, walking down the road. So, well, hopefully this will all be in primer, maybe in paint by the time you see it next Sunday, because all I gotta do is shoot these inside and out, get that shot primered, and then let it set. Because the nice thing is that stuff within an hour you can sand on it if you have to, so just kind of blend it in, and then I'll shoot this whole top wing, and the bottom I'll blend in and just patch the bottom. So with light blue, I'm not going to shoot the whole thing. I will take and go through the effort of masking off the insignia, especially down this end. I'll throw some paper on there. The paper will still tend to leave like a line on there, but after it's done I can always hit it with a buffer and knock it off. I could even do because that's what I've done on this with some rubbing compound on a buffer. I was able to go across that bottom and just kind of clean up, because it really bled under, but you can see it's got a really nice fade line there. That's the way I like to see it. The top one not so much, because there's big, you know, a major contrast between the two. And I've done the same thing here. So it buffs up pretty nice. So I can still do that underneath on the light blue. And I guess after that's done, after I get it fitting, get the exhaust drilled, holes drilled, exhaust through, cut the tips off, and then I got to get on this and just make up the frame. That shouldn't be too hard. I think I have, yeah, there's a piece of aluminum sticking out right there in the back, underneath that box. Where are we at? There we go. See that little shiny piece back there? I think I got enough of that. That's real thin stuff, like 030 something maybe. So I got to make up some templates. This one should be pretty, I might be able to reuse this piece, but the piece comes up around here. It's not going to work. My old one was flatter. This one's more curved. So I get a piece of poster board, wrap it around there, trim it to size. It'll be made in probably 1 to 4 pieces because I don't think that piece is big enough to do like the last one. This was one piece. Sorry, it was one piece coming across here, all the way across and back, and then I had a separate piece across the front. You can't make it all out of one piece. It's impossible. Not without sheet metal forming tools and English wheels and the like. So the windshield, everything's fine there. So over the winter I may end up getting the roller track put on this. I got to relocate the seat belts. The seat belts originally mounted clear back here. Now I need to mount them up here so it comes across my lap. I'm moving too quick for the lighting in here. Seat belt was coming across my belly more than across my lap, so it might make the shoulder harnesses a little shorter, and there's not much I can do about that because it's a Y harness, and if I try to pull the shoulder harnesses down forward more, then the Y will be in the back of your neck, so where they're sewed together on a Y. So I may have to change them out to separate shoulder harnesses if that's the case, because I don't think I can lengthen the shoulder harness any longer than it is now. So alright, I think that's going to do her. I looked inside the oil tank today, and it's way down, so that means it's probably slowly fed and it's leveled itself off between the engine and the tank. So that's where the Rotax engines require you to hand prop the engine backwards like 20 turns till you hear that gurgling sound where it pushes the oil up into the tank. So this may need the same thing, or I might just be able to keep the ignition off because all I got to do is turn the key on and leave the ignition power off for the spark, and then I can probably bump it over and crank it and it'll blow all that oil back up inside. I'm not concerned about getting in the cylinders for any kind of hydrolock. That's not going to happen. It's just going to fill the bottom of the crankcase where the crankshaft might touch the oil, but that crank still is up in there a ways from the bottom of that block. So alright, I don't think there was any other major concerns on comments to address. So I guess, yeah, I think that's about it. Alright everyone, I'm going to end her off now and go get this thing loaded up. Another thing I like about this Sony camera is the upload speed is like twice as fast as that little GoPro, that knockoff GoPro. That's a PDF format. This is a Sony format, and for some reason the Sony High Def, which is a better quality than that Handycam one, it loads like twice as fast, if not faster. Alright everyone, that's going to do her. I will get this thing uploaded tonight so you guys got something to watch, and I won't see you again probably till Sunday, and by Sunday night this may all be in paint and done, and I can move on to the last few pieces of the puzzle here, and sooner or later get her outside and see if I can move it around. Alright everyone, that's going to do her. I will get this up tonight, and as always, appreciate everybody taking the time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns, as always, and I appreciate the comments, and again, don't be afraid to leave comments. They're much appreciated. Alright everybody, I will see you again Sunday. So for now, this is Done and Done out.